Hiya, and welcome to another Reading Wednesday. It's your girl Logan. It's Logan, your girl, whatever. Anyway, today we're going to be doing a June wrap-up, all the books I've read in June, which is cool. It's slowly coming to an end. I don't know, it passed by kind of. Time was like just, it wasn't fast, it wasn't slow, but it felt long. But, you know, life is long in general. Anyway, yeah. And I'm going to do an illustration. I'm going to kind of make, like, just, I guess, illustrations inspired by books. I think my first May illustration was kind of just really, I didn't like it. I would kind of describe it as crappy. I don't like it. So I'm going to try to do just bookish illustrations kind of inspired by the months, again, but more seasonal things. Not too seasonal, just whatever I think is cool. So yeah, let's get that started. Let's start with the first book I read of June, which I started it in May, and that would be, I would be holding the stack of books, but it's actually really heavy and I got noodle arms, so your girl can't do that. It would be An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon. Yeah, Unkindness of Ghosts. And actually no ghosts really exists. It's just the title, like metaphorical ghosts, and it's like science fiction as well. It was really good. I gave it 5 stars. I first gave it 4, and then I was like, you know what, nah, because it was really good. It was 5 stars. I really liked it. It was in the vein of like Snowpiercer to me because it's in the future, and everyone's in this ship, and there's classes and ranks and stuff. And the main girl, it feels so long since I've read this, but it hasn't. It was Aster. Aster's the main girl, and she's like an apprentice to the surgeon. It was really, really good. I loved it. It was like a really interesting power dynamic too, because the surgeon is like brothers with this dude named the lieutenant, and then the lieutenant was like, I don't know, kind of like incestuously obsessed with his brother, the surgeon, and so then he hated Aster because Aster was liked by the surgeon. It was really weird. It was really strange. It was the strangest take on the love triangle I've ever seen. That was really weird. But yeah, and it deals with racism, classism, all of that. The pacing was awesome. The prose is cool. I loved it. And Aster is a good protagonist too. So 5 stars. 5 stars started the month off right. You know what I'm saying? And then we go to the second book I read, which is No Heaven for Good Boys. No Heaven for Good Boys by Keisha Bush. I adored this novel as well. It was about, it takes place in Africa, and it's about these Senegalese boys who become, what do they become? Oh my gosh. They become Talibe, and they're supposed to be learning the Quran under their teacher, but instead they are begging for money in the streets, and they undergo a lot of abuse, really. And this is something, oh my gosh, my cat is trying to eat. I mean, I guess you can't eat, but Lord. Anyway, on with the review. So, the author, Keisha Bush, actually like experienced this when she was in Africa, so that's why she wrote about it, and it ripped my heart to pieces. However, fair warning, like in Africa, I know they deal with a lot of magic, like legit people practicing magic, and there is magic in here. And I was just like, it was not nowhere in the synopsis and stuff, and I don't do magic, like I said, so that kind of bothered me. I gave it 4 stars. If it wasn't for that magic bit, I would have given it 5. But I don't play with that, so yeah. And I also would have done a video on it, but I kind of didn't want to touch on it anymore. But it was good. It ripped my heart in two. And all the characters were just so. Ibrahima was like my little baby, my nephew. I loved him, and I was rooting for him, and she was making his life very difficult, and I was not having a good time. But I loved it. I read this in like, I think 2 days or so. I really look forward to her next novel. I really do. I'm like, yes. Anyway, and on to the next one. I read Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry by Joya Goffney. And this and No Heaven for Good Boys, I pretty much read at the same time. But No Heaven for Good Boys was like winning the race slowly but surely. And look how cute that freaking cover is. Oh my gosh, look at that. Beautiful. It was Gorgeous. Okay, and this YA novel, this is like just the it's not the quintessential YA novel, but like just like I'm like, if I was gonna write a YA novel, I'd be like, I'd look to this to kind of see how to do it, because it was just so freaking good. It was so good, and the chemistry between the two characters was so, it was beautiful. So like, her name is Quinn, the main character's name is Quinn, and then that dude in the back, his name is Carter, and she has a list where she keeps everything, and she goes to a predominantly white school and stuff, along with him, he's there too. And her notebook gets stolen, and then she's blackmailed into doing one of the lists on there, or else like she'll release, like the person will release more lists and things. Now, I do plan on doing like doing a video on this book, because I just have a lot to say about it. It was really good, but there were some parts that got on my nerves, especially. Yeah. Anyway, but it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. Because there was a character that I felt like we just forgot about. There was a whole subplot that I felt disappeared out of thin air. And I was just like, how did we let that happen? We have editors, we have proofreaders, we have so many people, right? And this publishing team. How did we let this storyline just fall through the cracks? That's what it felt like to me. So yeah, but it was really freaking sweet. It's a feel-good book for sure. There's some parts where it gets your blood boiling, but it's a feel-good book for sure. Alright, and on to the next one. Alright, I'm gonna have to consult my stack of books on the floor here. Get this off the bottom. I read the graphic novel Kindred of Octavia E. Butler, it was really good. It was good. I didn't really like that. I gave it 4 stars because for me, I wasn't really a fan of like the art style. Okay, like the art style is just a little more crude for my taste. Okay, yeah, very sketch-like, and I'm not that big of a fan of it. It's not. That's the only reason I gave it 4 stars and not 5. But other than that, it was so good. I read it in one sitting, as I do all graphic novels. I've come to know. This month I really did like. I guess this kind of pushed me into it, but I just started reading all types of. Just a lot of graphic novels this month. More so than I ever have in my life. Since I was a child, really. When I was a child, I read a lot of comics, like Simpsons for some reason. But I grew up and I just kind of got out of that, and for some reason I was like, I don't think I like pictures and words together. Like, no, that's not my thing. And now I'm like, no, it is. It's cool. It's cool. So this month really got me like in love with some graphic novels. And this was the start. It was really good. It made me pick up the actual book, which I have not. I've opened it like 2 times. And the reason I'm having problems reading it is because the graphic novel did such a good job interpreting it and like translating it into, a graphic novel. Like, it really felt like I got everything that Octavia E. Butler gave to me. But I'm still going to read Kindred because I want to. My sister's out here. I don't know what she's doing. Maybe she's taking out the trash, which is good for her. Productivity, all day. Anyway, so yeah, Kindred was my next read. And then after that, I read this book, which was, this was like the talk of BuzzFeed. Not BuzzFeed, what? Goodreads. This is talk of Goodreads. BuzzFeed. Why? Why? But yes, The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He, because look at this cover. Okay, everyone was raving about this. Raving. It was like, look at that. Do you not want that on your shelf? You want that on your shelf, baby. Come on, don't lie to yourself. It's okay. You want that on your shelf. So yeah, I did read it, and I wanted to read it for a long time. Like, I had it on my radar before it even was published. Okay, so I ended up giving it 2 stars. I probably will also do a video on this one separately, but I gave it 2 stars. Because I'm not a fan of, there was a lot. There was like too much of me for me to be like, I didn't like this. I didn't like it so much, There was a lot. There was like themes. I think the themes in it, some of them, we had like, well, that's a spoiler. That's a really big spoiler. And I don't want to spoil it in the June wrap-up video. Like, I don't do spoil-free reviews. Because for me, if I have a spoiler in a book, like, and if I really want to read it, I'm still going to read it. Same thing with like a movie. If I learn a spoiler for a movie, I'm still going to watch it if I really want to watch it. So I think the same thing is said of books. Like, the spoiler is not what makes the book good. I'm still going to read Gone Girl one day, even though I know everything that happens, you know? But yeah, I was not a fan of this one. This one really kind of let me down. The characterization too was, I didn't like any of the characters, and I'm a really character, I'm more for a character-driven story than a plot-driven story, for sure. If, like, I'm gonna choose a character-driven story over one that's pushed by plot every time. So yeah, like, I found it hard to kind of connect with the characters. I think the one especially who was lost, there's one sister who's lost on an island, and then the one sister who's, like, you know, waiting for her back home, kind of. But yeah, nah, it was not for me. It was not for me. Pretty cover though, beautiful cover, as we all know. And then I read this book, Penance, by, oh, I'm not gonna, Kane, I don't know, Kane Minato. I have no idea how to say that name. Miss Minato, though, she did it. She did it. This was like a psychological thriller. It was about 4 girls who's like, well, it was originally 5 girls, and they go to this they go to the school grounds, and then one of them is killed by this mysterious man, and it haunts them for like the rest of their life, kind of, okay? And then it just, oh, this book was great. This book was lovely. I gave it 4 stars. Part of me is like, should I have given it 5? I gave it 4 stars because the ending was a little ambiguous. Just one thing, like, it was like we wrapped everything up except for one thing involving the killer, and that just made me mad. I was like, why would you do that to me, Minato? But it was so good. It made me feel, it was definitely horrific, and one of the strangest books, and disturbing, just disturbing would be the best word for this. Because, oh my God. It made me feel like I was watching a horror movie when I was reading it, just how many things. He's go into each of the girls' lives after the murder, you know, after, in their adulthood, how it affected them in different ways, what they encountered in their life. And somehow in their life afterward, everything is, like, everything is worse than the murder they first experienced, you know? It was awful. Like, I legit rated the chapters based on, like, from most disturbing to least disturbing, okay? Yeah, no, this is not for the faint of heart. This is not a book for the faint of heart. This was good, though. It was so good. Ugh. I also think I will do a video on this one, because I have an illustration in mind, too, for all the 4 girls. Oh my goodness, but it was so good. And I also love the cover. I think the cover is really pretty, just that one tear. Anyway, this is good. I recommend it, but at the same time I don't, because like I said, it was disturbing and messed up. And if you like your dreams, you know, if you like to dream about sheeps frolicking in the fields, then don't read this. I didn't have nightmares, but still. Okay, and then the next book I read, I finished. I actually started this, I think, in May. Black Rednecks and White Liberals, which is like it's not my first nonfiction book, but like I picked this up on a whim at the library because it was next to a book I was actually going to check out. And it's just a series of essays by a black professor, Thomas Sowell, and he's been like studying society and like history for like 25 years, and all of that was put into this book. And it was just really, really good, really informational, informative. It's like, all right, I'm just going to read some of it. So, like, of course, the titular essay, Black Rednecks and White Liberals, which I was just floored, like, amazed by. Because he pasted Black Rednecks, he's talking about the redneck culture that shaped black culture, kind of. Because, you know, black people were enslaved by white people in the South. And they were rednecks, right? And so then we adopted that culture into our own. And he's like, this redneck culture is kind of what's seen in the urban ghettos of, you know, the United States. And I was like, I never would have made that connection on my own. Like, how could I? I guess it makes sense if you trace it back. But he was really just looking at history. He was looking at history, and it was amazing. And they're like, are Jews generic? And then in that, he's talking about the middleman minority, like the minority between 2 different races, and then how they oftentimes turned out to be resented for their place in society, even though they're this society would fall without them because they are the middleman. But it's so weird. And then the real history of slavery, and that was talking about pretty much how slavery it wasn't just black people who were enslaved, it was everyone was enslaved on the earth because at a time, the world thought slavery was okay. At a time, most people were like, yeah, slavery's kind of, you know, whatever, slaves, it's cool. It wasn't just, you know, black people. And I also learned that, like, the Europeans, even though the Europeans, they were the ones who kind of said, you know, slavery is really wrong, and they put an end to the Atlantic slave trade and slave trading in general. So, and that took years to do. And they kind of forced that belief on the rest of the world, and they only were able to do that because they were a world power at the time. So anyway, and then the real history of, yeah, I already said that. Real history of slavery, Germans in history, black education, achievements, myths, and tragedies in history versus visions. So yeah, this was a good book though. It was good. I read every single essay out loud because the language in here will knock you over. The language, like I say, it's just Thomas Sowell. You can tell like his IQ is off the charts because if I wasn't able to read this out loud, I don't know if I would have comprehended a single thing he said. His sentences were just so loaded with information and just so scholarly in nature. It was ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I just want to read this one sentence though. It's a long sentence, but I'm going to read it because just as an example of what I'm talking about. When Olmsted found work done efficiently, promptly, and well during his travels through the South, when he found well-run businesses, good libraries, impressive churches, and efficiently functioning institutions in general, he almost invariably found them to be run by Northerners, foreigners, or Jews. I'm just saying, that's just one of the things. But yeah, every sentence was like that. And I still feel like Thomas dumbed it down for me, but like at the same time you didn't, because I'm like, how was this? It was a lot, but I love this book. It was wonderful. Anyway, let's see. One book I read that took me a long time, it felt like, but actually, I guess it took me 20 days, but look how small it is. Like, it took me 20 days to read this. Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. So it's about two black people in London who fall in love, but then are separated, or like they have to test can their relationship stand the test of like basic racism, kind of, you know, can it stand the test of racism and police brutality and like racial stereotyping, all of that. And oh my god, it's in second person. If it wasn't in second person, I would have given this book 5 stars and I would have ranted and raved about it as a lot of other people have. But it's in first person, which, you know, it's in second person, and he's saying you a lot. And you're supposed to be in this guy's perspective. He's falling in love with her. And also Nelson's prose is like extremely poetic. It's poetry. It really is poetry. A lot of repetition, a lot of, I don't know, lyrical devices are used. I'm not going to turn into an English teacher right now. But yeah, it was a lot. His poetic prose coupled with the second person was too much for me. And it really gave me a headache when I first opened it. And there was just days where I didn't even read it because I didn't want to. And I didn't have any desire to really finish it. But I did like it. I do like the message behind it. Just like this black love story coming from a black man, especially. I thought it was written by a woman, but no, it was written by a man, which is very important because this time in the black community, there's like a lot of black men who are suffering from internal, like this self-hatred and internal racism that manifests in the unsolicited bashing of black women and like the reinforcement of colorism. And it's just, yeah. You know, that's hard, that's difficult, it's hurtful for the community in general, and especially as a black woman too. Like on TikTok, if you're on TikTok, you see it everywhere, it's crazy. But yeah, so a black love story coming from a black man, it's just like, it means a lot, you know? It kind of touches my heart. And so, yeah. It was nice. I gave it 3 stars because I did like it. I felt like to give it any less would be just like disrespectful but I just hated the second person. If it wasn't in second person, I would have given it 5 stars. Yeah. Alright. So, yep, that's pretty much kind of all the books I've read in June. I actually have where'd the book go? Oh my gosh. I lost it. No, I didn't. Like, where did it go? Were you not just... Okay, there it is. I started this, All Systems Red. By the time this video comes out, Like, I'm right here. By the time this video comes out, it'll be done, probably. So far, it's okay. I'm not, like, that into it. It's alright, but I'm not, I'm not dying to finish this. And I don't even know if I'll read the second one, maybe, just to, you know, finish it. But, yeah, I'm not really, like the Murderbot Diaries. I've seen this all over Goodreads for a long time, so I was happy that we got it. But I'm not, we'll see how I do. Yeah. Alright, so that was everything I read in June. Thank you for staying for my wrap up, and I'll show the illustration. It's time for the art. Time for the art. Are things different? Yes. Will I address it? No. Because life is a struggle, as we have mentioned before. Anyway, now that I'm looking at this, I could have gone over this one. Okay, so this is my illustration for June. This is just what came to mind. Got a little black boy reading here. He's the center of the universe in his bedroom, minding his business, you know. And then books are floating on these imaginary planets I created around him. So yeah, this is like the quickest illustration I've ever done. I did this in one sitting, pretty much. That never happens. I never paint and finish it in one sitting, but I did. Also, this is not watercolor paper. This is mixed media paper. But it held up pretty well. I didn't get it too wet either, so that's good. Yeah. I might go over that with pen again. I probably will, actually. So, I'm sorry you didn't get to see that, but at the same time, yeah, we'll redefine some of those features. Because I'm only just now seeing, I'm like, yeah, it's a little muddy up in there on his face. I like how big his ears are. I just like big ears in general. I don't have them. I do not have big ears, but I like big ears. They're cute. So anyway, I'll probably redefine that a little bit, sharpen it. Some might even do that with the books too. But I do think it's really cute. I really, really like it. And I was thinking, I was like, if I'm making this a calendar, I was like, how you gonna get this, like, you know, landscape? And then I was like, wouldn't it be cool if the calendar was a book though? Like, if it opened up and the calendar's on this side, and this is June, and that'd be cool. That'd be dope. So yeah, like a calendar book, you know? Yes. So I love that idea. So we'll probably do that. Continue with the vertical hot dog style, you know, illustrations or whatever. Yeah, it's cute though. I love it. I love him minding his business. Anyway, yeah. So that's my illustration for this June wrap up. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Also, I know this lighting is harsh. Looks like I'm being interrogated. I am not. I'm fine. Just life is a struggle, you know? Life is but a struggle. So, yeah. Thank you for joining me on another Reading Wednesday. Go read a book, have some thoughts, enjoy the sun. Whatever. I hope it's sunny where you are. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.